Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Light Sports Ramble, presented by the Red Light Sports Network. I'm your co-host, Troy Otradovec, joined by the marvelous Evan Witalison out in the great state of Wisconsin, and a special guest tonight, our managing editor of internet content, Kevin Cunningham. Like the wind, he blew in tonight. So, Kevin, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good. Can never get sick of talking NBA basketball, so glad to be here.
Exactly. And my wonderful co-host, Evan Witalison. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing okay. I'm kind of confused, though, because there was a word used today around the Brewers that I'm confused by the word. And, Troy, I know it's a long drive for you, but I think you might have to drive out to Philly and show the Brewers how to use a broom. Because for the first time this season, the Brewers swept the team. So I don't know if they quite know how to use a broom. So you might need to go out there and show them. But, the word sweep, I forgot what that word meant.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that, I was watching Major League Baseball channel tonight, and the Brewers actually did something no other team has done this year to the Phillies, and that is beat the Phillies when they score 7 runs. They had been 7-0 to this point when they score 7 runs or more. So the Brewers, they swept the Phillies, and then today they ruined the Phillies' perfect mark when they score 7 or more runs. So good job by the Brewers to be able to go out and get a sweep. I know the season, the white flag has been raised, but like you and I have said, it's always nice to see them go out and compete. I know the Phillies are a little worse off than the Brewers, but hey, a sweep is a sweep, buddy. We'll take it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And before we move on to the topic at hand on NBA basketball, I do got a question for the two of you. And I don't know if either of you've had one. I assume you have, Troy, being that you're, in the same state as Philly. I know it's like a 7-hour drive or something like that. But Marcus Hanno, the bullpen catcher for the Brewers, broke the record for most Philly cheesesteaks in a 4-game series. He ate 20 Philly cheesesteaks over the course of the 4-game series. Could either of you eat 20 Philly cheesesteaks in 4 days?
I haven't eaten 20 Philly cheesesteaks in my life. Now, I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love them. But I haven't eaten 20 in my life, let alone 20 in 4 days. That is crazy. That is just crazy talk. That's a lot of workout to get rid of all the calories that guy has put down in 4 days. What do you think, Kevin? You're gonna mow down? I don't think Kevin could put down 20 Philly cheesesteaks in 4 days.
Like you said, I don't think I've ever had 20 in my life, and I like them too. But I think I could probably have 2 a day, maybe if I was forced. But just the taste of them after the first day, it would just get tiring.
I agree. It's more like to me, a Philly cheesesteak it's something that you have every once in a while because it's almost like a delicacy. Hey, I haven't had this in a while. I want to have one, and so have one every couple months. But 20 in 4 days, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
In the Brewers' case, though, it is for his case, it is kind of a special occasion because the Brewers don't get off Philly too much. But as someone that has personally met Marcus Hanno and shook his hand and talked to him, he is a big dude. I could definitely see where he could definitely put those. His Twitter profile pic is him holding 7 baseballs in the palm of his hand. So he's a big guy, but enough of that talk, though. I'm trying to get hungry, and enough of that talk. NBA basketball. And for the first time in quite a while, and I can't remember the last, big signing to rival this, but it's the first time in quite a while the Bucks had a big-name free agent sign a contract with them, Greg Monroe, the 6'11", 250-pound, power forward in Detroit, but probably going to be a center in Milwaukee, averaging just under 16 points a game this past year and 10 rebounds. He signed a 3-year contract with the Bucks. And I'm going to throw it right to you, Kevin, our NBA expert. How big of a deal is this for the Bucks, getting Greg Monroe, one of the big-name free agents on the market who was tied to the Knicks, L.A., and probably every big market you can think of, and he signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. How big of a signing is this?
I talked to him about it in my show today, that basically all these teams that are, B-level teams and solid playoff teams are going out and trading for pieces or keeping some guys in-house. And, it's making some of their teams better. And the Bucks have obviously done that with Chris Middleton, which that was an awesome signing. To be paying a guy like that $14 million a year when the cap jumps not just once but twice in the next couple of years, that's going to be such a steal it won't even be funny. But this Greg Monroe deal, it's big, but again, does it change Milwaukee as far as making them a legitimate contender to Cleveland next year? No, but it does make a difference when you're pushing. To me, it makes them a legitimate possible number 2 seed in the East. I think that I would still probably favor Chicago and Atlanta, but to me it makes the Bucks a legitimate contender in that sense. And so if you can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think they absolutely have a chance to, I wouldn't favor them to, but they've got probably as good a shot as anyone in the East. Then at least you can go up against Cleveland and have a chance. Then if you can pull something off, I wouldn't expect them to do it, obviously, but if they can, then you're in the finals. So, all you can do is position yourself to have a shot at Cleveland for these next 4 years, it seems like. Basically, everyone's going to be locked down. So Cleveland's the gold standard. You have to try and beat them. One reason I liked the D'Angelo Russell pick by the Lakers was because that the Lakers know that they're going to have to get through Golden State these next few years, and having a 6'5" point guard that can defend Stephen Curry isn't going to hurt you. So, like this Monroe deal, I think that it gives the Bucks something that they were lacking. That's just an interior presence. Definitely. Not necessarily defensively, but a guy you can go to down low, and a guy that, I forgot what the stat was exactly, but it was something like the Bucks averaged 7 points per post-up, basically plays during last season's games, and Monroe averaged 8 alone. So that would boost it to 15. So basically him by himself gives the Bucks something down low that they didn't have.
Yeah, the Bucks are definitely going to be one of the more lengthy teams in the league. If point guard is 6'6", how you can develop a jump shot. Michael Carter Williams, and you got Giannis at 6'11" playing the small forward / shooting guard. You have Middleton playing shooting guard, small forward at 6'7". Jabari Parker 6'8", 240 at the playing small forward power. Then obviously Monroe is 6'11". And then just coming off the bench for the Bucks, you got John Henson 6'11", O.J. Mayo 6'5" if he's still around. Zaza 6'11". Bucks got a lot of length on their team. That's definitely going to help them when they're trying to defend teams as well. And obviously Monroe adds some defense as well. But Troy, what's your thought on Greg Monroe signing with the Bucks?
I want to throw a stat out to you guys, and this will not that I'm going to be comparing him to LeBron James, but I want Kevin. I think you hit it on the head as somebody to go down low to. And as I was looking at some things on this, I decided to take a look at scoring efficiency. And LeBron James in 14-15, his scoring efficiency was 1.363, and Greg Monroe wasn't too far behind at a 1.28. So. I'm not saying he's LeBron James and he's a little bit off there, but he's a guy that can score for the Bucks down low, and I think he's a great option This is a guy that gives them a legitimate person in the middle to solidify offensively, to run set pieces, to go to the post, to draw a double team, because his assist numbers have went up year to year since he's been in the league. So this is a guy that'll assist. Well, they went down a little bit, but 3.5, 2.1, 2.1. He can assist the ball. He's a guy that's a legitimate threat every game to get you a double-double in scoring and rebounds. And the Bucks haven't had a big guy, Evan. We talked about it just a couple days ago. That when is the last time the Bucks had a legitimate big man? And now they have one. And like Kevin said, does it make them all of a sudden an NBA Finals team? No, it doesn't. But it gives the Bucks another piece to the puzzle. And then going back to a previous show, Evan, we talked about free agents signing in Milwaukee or even thinking about going to Milwaukee. I think this helps. With Greg Monroe going to Milwaukee, it kind of pushed that door open a little bit that I thought had been closed on big name or talented players wanting to come to Milwaukee. And so I think the door has been pushed a little bit open, not completely, but now there is a way to get into Milwaukee, and the door's open a little bit. And I'll throw it back to Kevin. Earlier in the week, Kevin, we talked about Milwaukee and in free agency not being able to lure big-name or talented players to Milwaukee. Do you think Greg Monroe signing in Milwaukee helps that, like I just said?
I think it helps. The one thing I think that it does, though, and you're basically right on the head here, is that just the culture change in the NBA, that it's not about what size market you play in. You look at one of the most endorsed players in the league, if not the most, Kevin Durant. He's in Oklahoma City. I don't know how much he makes off the court per year from endorsements and ads, but it's a ton. You don't have to go to L.A., you don't have to go to New York, you don't have to go to Miami. You can be in Oklahoma City, you can be in Milwaukee, you can be in San Antonio, and as long as you're really good, you're going to get noticed. Anthony Davis has been noticed for a while. That's why New Orleans is paying him, $29 million a year starting a year from now. It doesn't matter. These guys don't have that need to go to a bigger market because not every player has to go to a bigger market. It's not as though these teams haven't been able to be seen on TV. So it's not just that, but it's the fact that it doesn't matter where you play now, you're going to get noticed if you're really good. And for me, I think it speaks volumes not just in free agency and how teams look at the Bucks. I don't think that Milwaukee's suddenly this unbelievable destination that compares to L.A. and New York. I don't think it's ever going to be that. But I think that it doesn't really make a difference anymore. It matters on your team. The reason why LeBron left Miami for Cleveland wasn't because he loved Cleveland so much. I think that gets overplayed. I think it's because he legitimately thought that the future, if he wanted to make another 5 straight finals, it had to be with Cleveland because Miami was just getting too old. So he thought, just basketball-wise, that it was better to go back to Cleveland for his future. And that's exactly what happened here. Greg Monroe doesn't see a future with New York and their basketball team. It's absolutely garbage. Los Angeles is a little different story. They've got a couple guys that they can build around, especially if they can pull in a guy like Aldridge, but it doesn't sound like he's going to. But so for Monroe, it was basically a move saying, hey, I believe in Jason Kidd. I believe where this team's going. It doesn't matter that it's Milwaukee. They just picked up Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's starting to get better. He's, 21 years old, 20. You got Jabari Parker, 20. I believe he's 20, if not 21.
Yeah, they're both 20. Giannis and Parker are both 20.
Your starting point guard's 22, something like that. Just re-signed Chris Middleton for another 5 years. I mean, this team has much more than just a bright future, and that's what Monroe saw. He didn't care that it was in Milwaukee. It doesn't have to be a glamour city anymore. As long as you're going to be playing for a team that is a contender, you're going to get noticed. And so it just completely depends on what the team's situation is. And for me, personally, I thought it would take Milwaukee another 2 years to be able to reel in a guy